Bolliger and Mabillard, B&M for short, are one of the most successful roller coaster manufacturers on the market. They build reliable attractions that deliver consistent levels of thrills. A theme park will take pride knowing that they acquired a B&M for their coaster lineup. As a celebration of this fantastic manufacturer, I'm going to provide you my top 10 favorite B&Ms. This was a tough list to compile as there were plenty more roller coasters I wish could have been included, but again, that's what makes a top 10 list so special. The cream of the crop, as it were. Because I know this question will be asked in the comments, I'm just going to respond now. No, I haven't ridden Fury 325, which is why it hasn't made this list, but hopefully we'll be crossing that coaster off my list later this year if Carolinas allow Carowinds to open. Number 10. Superman Krypton Coaster, Six Flags Fiesta Texas. If there's one problem I can point out with any of the B&M loopers, it's the predictability. The layout across the board is rather repetitive, invoking nothing new into each project. Well, Superman Krypton Coaster attacked this issue head-on by using the quarry wall to add some variety to their floorless coaster model. Now, the ride may not use any new inversions, but with a cliffside, it's able to climb up and down, creating some different sensations. With a height of 168 feet, over 4,000 feet of track, and a max speed of 70 miles an hour, Superman is one of the largest floorless coaster models to date. My favorite moment on Superman is the elevated helix on the quarry wall. It may not be a super intense element, but the way it incorporates the wall as you dive right down the side is so cool. If you are seated on the right side, you feel as if you could reach out and touch the side of the cliff. Number 9. Tatsu, Six Flags Magic Mountain. For me, this is the most intimidating roller coaster on the list. Being strapped, hanging horizontal from the track above with nothing between you and the earth can be enough to rattle even the most seasoned coaster enthusiast. I know the ride is completely safe, but with its 170 feet height mark, the lines between fear and safety start to blur. The layout is actually really good, starting off with a couple slow inversions, working your way up to the giant pretzel loop. This inversion has to be one of the most intense inversions out there. The G-forces are bone-crushing, as if a truck just parked on your chest. Until I get overseas to ride a few more flying coasters, Tatsu will remain as my favorite flying coaster. Number 8. Nitro, Six Flags Great Adventure. With a lack of new coasters opening in 2020, I think coaster enthusiasts started to give some older attractions a second look. In the case for Nitro, the fan base for this hypercoaster is continuing to grow with every new review that hits social media. This is an underrated hypercoaster that delivers many great moments of floater airtime. Unfortunately, the ride experience does vary depending on the time of day, season, and most obviously which row you are seated in. Airtime fanatics will enjoy the back row, however don't simply ride off the front row either. Beyond the airtime, Nitro is one of the more intense hypercoasters by B&M. In fact, this is the only B&M hyper that I will consistently gray out on, especially during that giant upward helix. With Jersey Devil coaster scheduled to open this summer, Nitro's popularity will only continue to grow as the new attraction will drive more guests to that section of the park. Number 7. Thunderbird, Holiday World. When Incredible Hulk opened in 1999, coaster enthusiasts were excited that maybe B&M was about to break into the launching coaster market. Well, 16 years later, we finally get another launch coaster from the manufacturer. Instead of using wheels to propel you to the max speed, Thunderbird uses state-of-the-art LSM technology. The launch is forceful and exciting, and the best part, it's only the start of the ride. Thunderbird weaves itself through voyage while performing 4 different inversions along the way. Thunderbird is also one of the most smoothest wing coasters I've ridden, providing zero rattle, which seems to plague this coaster type. Every element of this roller coaster is crafted to provide strong forces, then capping it off with a neat, slow barrel roll through a wrecked barn. Number 6. Griffon, Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Dive coasters seem to be overlooked in the coaster community. I think this is a real shame because these coaster types offer an amazing thrill, even if it's a one-trick pony. With a hard over-the-shoulder restraints, Griffon is able to provide some neat floater sensations as you dive down its massive vertical drop. The splashdown near the end of the ride is another neat element, as those riding the roller coaster feel as if they're gliding across the water. And by standards, they can either get hit by the giant rooster tails of water as they crash down to the earth, or just stand out of the splash zone and enjoy the view. Number 5. Great Bear, Hersheypark. This has to be one of the most unique inverted roller coasters in the United States. Using the hillside to its advantage, Great Bear starts up near the top of the hill and starts working its way down, performing multiple inversions along the way. Instead of starting off with a massive drop, Great Bear starts off with a helix. It's a nice little fake out that gets you pumped up for the ride ahead. This is a roller coaster that only gets better and better every time that I ride it. Being over 20 years old, the ride is still butter smooth, the inversions are very snappy, especially that 0G roll and the final corkscrew. Not only does the ride have a great layout, it's also very incorporated with all the attractions in the area. The coaster flies over top of Super Duper Looper, sweeps over nearby Comet and Sky Rush, and also flying over some of the midways below. This is one of my favorite roller coasters to just stand off to the side and watch because of all the interactions that it does with the attractions around it. I'm really looking forward to the day when I can check out some inverted coasters in Europe, as they all seem to do really well with the terrain aspect. Number 4. Apollo's Chariot, Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. As far as I'm concerned, the original B&M Hyper did everything right. The first drop is excellent in the back row, delivering some amazing airtime. In fact, every airtime hill will have you flying out of your seat. The layout is simple, though still incorporating the terrain in unique ways. The ride only stands 170 feet, but pulls off a 210-foot plunge. One of my favorite moments of the ride is near the end. There is this airtime hill that takes me by surprise. The coaster looks like it will only perform a small dip, but instead swoops down into a small valley, providing one last jolt of airtime before hitting the brake run. Number 3. Candymonium, Hersheypark. When Candymonium was announced a couple years prior, many were puzzled with the choice of ride. Hersheypark already featured an airtime fill hyper with Sky Rush, so why build another model that was similar in type and place it right next to it? Well, after getting multiple rides on both coasters, it was clear that these two attractions targeted different audience. Candymonium is a crowd-pleasing attraction with fun airtime, as Sky Rush is an overly intense roller coaster that might scare off some of the more easygoing type. The reason why I have Candymonium on this list is simple: the airtime. The first drop and the first airtime hill are some of the best moments of airtime I've experienced on a B&M. The layout is also fresh enough to keep this concept new and exciting. The banked airtime hill is a neat moment, and we can't forget how cool this coaster looks when it interacts with the giant Hershey fountain. Number 2. Orion, Kings Island. Opening in 2020, Orion has quickly risen in my ranks of my favorite roller coasters. The ride features a massive 300-foot drop, over 5,000 feet of track, and speeds of 91 miles an hour. Every element delivers, starting off with that fantastic airtime-filled first drop. I've learned to appreciate the giant wave turn and see it as another highlighting element of the ride. Both airtime hills deliver great airtime, and we can't forget about that banked airtime hill near the end of the ride. Not only are the elements good, but the pacing is on point. But we can't leave out the theming. It may not reach universal levels, but the work and detail that has gone into Orion really enhances the whole experience. The rebranding of this section of the park into Area 72 has been a positive move by Kings Island, and hopefully we'll see more great changes like this to Kings Island over the upcoming years. Number 1. Diamondback, Kings Island. If you watched my video where I ranked all the roller coasters at Kings Island, you would have noticed that I just switched my top 2 coasters. I had Orion listed as the best in the park and Diamondback in second place. Well, I still consider Orion to be the better overall coaster, but that doesn't mean it's my favorite. Taking a ride in the very back row on Diamondback is better than any ride I've ever had on Orion. The airtime is insane. Diamondback delivers some of the longest sustained moments of floater that I've ever experienced on a roller coaster. On top of that, the roller coaster delivers multiple moments of these long sustained airtime. The ride may suffer from a rattle during certain portions, but it's not enough to detract from the amazing airtime. The splashdown at the end of the ride is the cherry on top to this amazing hyper coaster. It's a shame that B&M never incorporated this feature into future models. Well, that wraps up my favorite B&M coasters. With so many to choose from, I knew there would be plenty that would just be left to the side. Did your favorite roller coaster make this list, or did I omit it? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. That way you continue to get great content brought to you by XscreamThrills.